Motorsport TV Live, brought to you by Motorsport Tickets, the dedicated motorsport experiences provider.
Hello and welcome to Motorsport TV Live. I'm Diana Binks. Coming up today, we'll be looking back at the 2021 World Endurance Championship season and, of course, the rise of the hypercar category. We'll have insight from motorsport.com's Filip Cleeren and we'll take a look ahead to what 2022 has in store. All that and more coming up right here on Motorsport TV Live. 2021 saw the introduction of the hypercar class in the World Endurance Championship. There were 3 teams that threw their hats into the ring for the first season of the new class. Toyota with the number 7 and 8 GR010 hybrids, Alpine with a single A480 Gibson, and the boutique manufacturer Glickenhaus with 2 of its own 007 prototypes. However, Glickenhaus were absent from the opening round in Spa, leaving the number 8 Toyota to dominate. However, by Portimao, they had 1 car on track, albeit off the pace. By round 3 in Monza, the second Glickenhaus car was also on track and at least one of their entries was looking more competitive. The number 709 car finished in 4th place, just 4 laps behind the number 7 Toyota, a vast improvement on the 54-lap gap that they had in the previous race. The second car struggled, however, ending the race in 35th place, and they weren't the only ones, with Toyota's second entry also struggling with a 33rd place finish. Next up was Le Mans, one of the biggest events on the WEC season, and Glickenhaus had a lot to prove. And prove it they did. Whilst they were still unable to compete with the dominance of the Toyotas, they brought both cars home with a 4th and 5th place finish. No mean feat for your first outing in the gruelling race. However, that was it for Glickenhaus as they dropped out of the final 2 events of the season in Bahrain. The team have announced that they will enter 1 car for the entire 2022 season and that they will once again post 2 entries on the grid for Le Mans, showing that they mean business once again. Sticking with Le Mans, and in 2020 the COVID pandemic meant that the usual crowds were not allowed to attend the 24-hour race. However, 2021 saw a return to the grandstands with 50,000 people streaming through the turnstiles to catch a glimpse of the action. Whilst it wasn't quite the 250,000 that usually grace this spectacular event, it was at least a step in the right direction to restoring the atmosphere that Le Mans is famous for. And one man who was there to witness it all from the driving seat in LMP2 was Antonio Felix da Costa. We spoke to him about the experience and started by asking what it was like to have the fans back trackside once again.
Since I've lost that Formula One chance, I've been coming to learn so much about other types of racing, and endurance being one of them. And I used to hate cars with doors. I used to hate GT cars and this and that. And I've now done Le Mans 2 times in a GT car and 2 times in a LMP2 car, and my passion for endurance racing is immense. And you know, and when you come to a huge race like this, a huge race like the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and you know, especially after the first 3 years I've done it, I've had good hints. I finished second once and good pace here and there, but this year, being there finally with everyone back, with the fans back, and being in a winning car, in a winning package, was such an amazing moment for me, and to come away with, you know, in the end we had a bad result at the end, but putting the car in pole position was one of the most special moments of my career. Endurance is, you rely on other people, rely on a lot of things. It's a long race, all of them, 24 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours. They're all long. Obviously, 24 Hours of Le Mans not only is longest, there's a lot of history, and it's a bit like Monaco, you know. So, and I've been very fortunate to the last 2 years to share the car with the same guys, with Roberto Gonzalez, which is our silver driver, and with an amazing guy that you all know, which is Anthony Davidson. I've learned so much with Anthony in the last 2 years. His experience in racing, in the way he drives, the feedback of the car balance and all of that. So, and unfortunately for us this year, and it can happen to anyone, you know, I was first in the car in Le Mans, and then I passed the car on to Anthony with a decent advantage, and on his first lap of the race, the track was a bit damp, and he put a slick tire on the damp part of the track, and he lost it. And so yeah, we lost 7 laps to the leaders, which basically means, even if we're quick, we will never gain 7 laps on anyone. We finished the race 5th or 6th, only 5 laps down, but obviously, we were there to win it, and that chance was gone. But again, the way you then approach these kind of problems and these kind of issues with your teammates is special. And I would never ever hold it against Anthony ever, and he knows that. And the first thing I did was just give him a big hug, and let's go back next year and try again. Unfortunately, Anthony decided to retire himself from racing, so I was very angry about that, because I really wanted to go back with him to Le Mans. But yeah, as I said, things happen. I've made mistakes. Sometimes other people do mistakes, and in endurance racing, we're a family sharing the same house, sharing the same cars. We're now looking for a replacement for Anthony. It might be someone very good for you British people to support. So it feels like we're close to someone. So hopefully in the next couple of days we will be able to announce it. Some drivers that they turn themselves into really specialists of one kind of car or a series. For me, driving different types of cars, different type of series, different rules, it's amazing. Like I know this year I won. When I won in Monaco, straight after that, I went to Brazil on a last-minute call to race the Brazilian stock cars. I won it, and then I came back to Portugal to race the WEC round in Portimao, and we won that race as well. So I won in 3 different cars in three weeks in a row. So just unbelievable, and I love doing that. Obviously it doesn't always go this way. There are mistakes that are done for jumping around cars and series and rules and all of that. But I do love driving different types of cars, and I really think it makes me a better racing driver.
Thanks to Antonio Felix da Costa talking to us earlier this week. And don't forget that Will Buxton was there with him at Le Mans earlier this year, and you can still catch that Le Mans special and take in the atmosphere and drama from the 24-hour race on Motorsport TV. Well, joining me now to chat about all of the top headlines from the World Endurance Championship season is motorsport.com's Filip Cleeren. Filip, how would you describe the 2021 season for WEC?
Well, I think it was another transitional year, because obviously it's a debut of the Hypercar class, but we'll see teams and manufacturers trickle in across the next couple of years. So 2021 was definitely a transitional year. Toyota still up top with barely any competition, just a grandfather Alpine. So it was a good season across the classes. If you look beyond Hypercar, Alpine 2 was amazing again, as always. GTE Pro was a nail-biter until the finish. So there was a lot to enjoy for endurance racing fans. It's just that we'll have to wait a little bit longer for that proper top-class battle that we're all waiting for.
Yeah. If we look at this season, particularly the number 7 Toyota taking the overall honours in the hypercar class with Mike Conway, Kamui Kobayashi and Jose Maria Lopez. It was interesting to find out, I think it was a week later, where I think it was Jose Maria that mentioned that they were really struggling with clogged fuel pumps, and they were really close to not taking that win. So you can only imagine what was going on in that garage.
Yeah, absolutely, because that crew has been through the wars throughout the years. So many near misses at Le Mans for the 7 crew. So it must have been a very stressful situation to have another random problem suddenly pop up. So I think it's credit to Toyota's ingenuity, so the out-of-the-box thinking that they managed to find a solution for it during the race.
And it was so great to see them take that win. As you say, so many emotions and dramas over the years with that car in particular. But the LMP2 class as well, WRT taking a win in their first season, beating the likes of Jota and United Autosports. That must be a great feeling at the end of the season, but a lot of hard work went their way.
Yeah, as you say, the competition was really high with Jota and United. Is always an extremely tight class with the same Oreca chassis that's been dominating. So it's extremely hard to come in and win that. But if you look at WRT's prowess, their pedigree, then it's a surprise. It's an amazing achievement, but they are the kind of team that could have done that, because they are one of the leading GT teams for a number of years. A well-run organization by Vassar Voss and his crew. So yeah, they did a great job. Obviously, the driver lineup as well, Franz, Hatzberg, and Lacey, they really gelled very quickly. And yeah, they took LMP2 by storm.
LMP2 itself is really the category that's, had the most interest, would you say?
I think it's just a competition. People want to see close racing. LMP1 and now Hypercar hasn't yet delivered on that. And LMP2 has always been just extremely competitive with very tight regulations, with driver balancing, which is not perfect, but they've tried to do a good job to get the drivers balanced with the ratings. And yeah, it's just a very entertaining class. So that's why it's such a fan favorite.
Yeah. And GTE Pro, we always know the GTs are always a really exciting category to watch, but GTE Pro really nearly ended up, well, it was Ferrari and Porsche battling it out, and that nearly ended up in the Court of Appeal at the end of the season, which is just weird how we're sort of looking at Formula One today. I know we're talking about WEC here, but Formula One is potentially in that same situation. But Porsche decided to not to continue that appeal. What's your view on how that situation developed?
Yeah, I think if you look at Abu Dhabi, you'd almost forget about what happened in GT Pro. But yeah, as you say, it was a similar situation where there was a lot of acrimony after the season finale. Ferrari and Porsche going to the season finale, not tied on points, but it was going to be the decider for both championships. And then an on-track incident led to Ferrari winning and Porsche being very aggrieved. And yeah, they appealed, but they protested, but they didn't go through with their appeal in the interest of the sport. So that nipped in the bud. So, credit to Porsche that they want to move on, even though they're obviously very disappointed with how it finished.
And of course, we need to talk about Le Mans. It was great to see the fans back this year. I know it was restricted numbers, but how welcome was that?
Very much so. I couldn't make it this year, but I did go to Le Mans last year, and I have to say, behind closed doors, are really sad in a way. It was a great achievement for it to go through in what was the height of the pandemic at that stage. But yeah, it was sad to see. It's like the Indy 500 as well. It's the kind of event that really lives and dies by its fans and by the support from the local community. So I thought it was really important for this year to be 50,000 fans in place. And it made all the difference, I think. You ask anyone who competes in that race, the fans are what make it special.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work at Le Mans in the pit lane, and it is an amazing atmosphere at the end of that when you've got 250,000 fans before the COVID pandemic, of course, in attendance. It was pretty special, and it's special for the drivers and teams. Everyone just adores that race.
Yeah, 100%. There's nothing like Le Mans. I think you can ask Lord Buxton that as well. He's had quite a great experience there. So yeah, it's one of the marquee events in motor racing, and let's just all hope that in 2022 we can have even more numbers coming to the race.
Some changes that have happened this year as well. In WEC, Anthony Davidson, ex-Formula One driver, announced his retirement after the Bahrain race. He's so instrumental and such a great character, such a talent. I'm sure he will be very much missed in that paddock.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously a long-time member of the endurance paddock. Been instrumental for Toyota as well throughout the years, getting that program up and running. He's obviously a very prolific test and reserve driver, also from his Formula One days, now even at Mercedes. So very technical, very good driver, obviously really lovely person as well. It was nice to talk to him in the paddock. But yeah, he's a man of many hats. I'm sure he'll continue being busy with his punditry and his F1 activities. So I'm sure he won't get too bored.
Yeah, it won't be too far away, hopefully. The other change, Kamui Kobayashi announced that he will be taking over as team principal at Toyota, but still racing. Was that a surprise?
Yeah, very much so, because it's a very unusual approach to have essentially a team boss above all the other, the rest of the management and still be in the car. So that's very interesting. We'll see how that plays out. But I think Toyota explained it as wanting to have a very driver-led racing program with using key positions throughout their program. We've also seen Kazuki Nakajima stepping down and then become the vice chairman of Toyota Racing. So it's a different approach to what we are used to, but let's see what happens.
Listen, when they're all doing the research and development, I mean, having a driver who's experienced it all firsthand can only be helpful on development, and also with new drivers coming through, you know, giving them that nurturing and teaching. So I think that's probably quite sensible. But as you said, we'll have to wait and see how that one all plays out. The other team I wanted to talk to you about was Glickenhaus. They made a real impact, you know, even before we got on track. Their media build-up was quite impressive. What's your feeling on how the season ended with them?
I think you just have to look at what they've done on the track as well first, because, you know, it's obviously a very small boutique, as we call it, manufacturer, a very small team, but they were extremely impressive at Le Mans, just going there first time, new car, putting two cars on the grid and reaching the finish without massive problems. And their pace they were not a match for the Toyota, but they had a respectable pace. So I think that's hugely impressive. You can ask a number of manufacturers how hard it is to do that. There's several high-end manufacturers that, you know, certainly had a much worse time on their Le Mans debut. But I think it's good to have them in the paddock. There's something fresh. It's definitely a different philosophy to how they operate. But as I said, Hypercar is still very much in a transitional phase, even next year as well. So I think it will be very important for WEC and for ACO to have Glickenhaus around and have them do well.
And as a fan as well, you want to see new teams coming through and developing, don't you? I mean, we need all of it, but it's particularly important to see those grid numbers. Looking at 2022, it's you know, WEC is attracting a lot of interest. Sébastien Ogier was testing, and he said that he feels that an LMP2 seat would be his best bet for a race season. How has that been received?
It's obviously great to have someone like Ogier or someone like Valentino Rossi expressing interest in joining, whether it's GTs or LMP2s or whatever it may be. They're obviously, you know, massive names for the sport, and it'd be great for WEC to have them. In Ogier's case, it's obviously a very drastic change from rally. So in his case, it might be useful to, you know, have like an LMP2 seat. Just get the lap times, get the track time, rather get that in, and then prepare for, you know, potentially an LMDH whatever he wants to pursue. But, you know, someone like Ogier with that many world titles, he doesn't want to just race and make up the numbers. He wants to be properly prepared and do well. So in that respective, preparing an LMP2 makes perfect sense.
Filip, thank you so much for your time today. Great to talk to you. I think we're in for an exciting 2022, and it's great to see so much interest in the championship as well. Many thanks. And thanks to Filip Cleeren there. As we mentioned, Sébastien Ogier has been testing for next season, and Toyota team boss Kamui Kobayashi has suggested that Toyota may think about running a third car at Le Mans to accommodate a drive for the Frenchman. And of course, we'll bring you updates on that story in due course. Well, that's it for now. I'm Diana Binks. Join us again here on Motorsport TV Live for more season reviews and roundups. I'll see you soon.